What's up, football fans? This is RJ from Game News USA, back today with another NFL recap. And today, we're going to go over NFL Week 10. Nothing makes sense. Nothing does in the NFL today. Nothing made sense this week. I'm confused. We just got to go over it. Forget predicting anything or being used to any normal outcome happening once certain events happen. It's just completely insane, constantly, all the time, and this week was no exception. So if you like this kind of content, please remember to subscribe. Let's jump right into it. First of all, we got to start off with probably the game of the year, Ravens-Bengals. Ravens win it 35-34. But here's the part that doesn't make sense. The Bengals went for 2, which I agree with. Joe Burrow got smacked upside the head, and Mike Gesicki got held in the end zone. 2 penalties, no calls, game over, Ravens win. Speaking of things not making sense, how the hell are the Cincinnati Bengals 4-6? Joe Burrow had 428 yards, 4 touchdowns. And this ain't the first time he's put up numbers like this and lost to the Ravens in a football game. The Bengals keep finding ways to lose and staying out of the playoff chase. They are by far the best 4-6 team I've ever seen. Now their defense is kind of poor. But there's no way the Bengals should be 4-6. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. Ja'Marr Chase, 264 receiving yards, and you lose? Come on, man! Next thing that doesn't make sense. Over in Germany, the Carolina Panthers defeat the New York Giants 20-17. Bryce Young has won 2 games in a row. He's starting to look decent. Make that make sense. The kid got benched for Andy Dalton. You figure his career's over. Now he comes back and he's doing decent. Now, granted, this is against the Giants, but make that make sense. Make that make sense. It doesn't make sense. Next, we have the Patriots beating the Bears 19-3. Drake May outplayed Caleb Williams, the number 1 pick. Caleb Williams was a generational talent in college. He was the best quarterback I'd ever seen talent-wise coming out of college to the pros. Yet, we're going to sit here and see him put up 3 points against the Patriots, who are supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league. They're my team, but I'm sorry, I wouldn't have picked them this week. Guess what? Make it make sense. Patriots beat the Bears 19-3. We got some bye weeks I want to mention before we continue. Browns, Packers, Raiders, Seahawks all on a bye week. Next up, the Bills beat the Colts 30-20. You probably think, alright, okay, RJ, this makes sense. Okay, yes, it makes sense. But here's the parts that don't make sense. Why did Anthony Richardson get benched? Why? And then you bring in Joe Flacco, and guess what? He plays worse. He was so good last year with the Browns. I mean, maybe you could say it's age. I don't know. I think at this point, Anthony Richardson needs to get back in the lineup. Make this make sense. How the Colts are even a relevant team pushing for the playoffs, but yet they're benching Anthony Richardson, who is struggling to get 50% completion, for old-ass Joe Flacco, who can't do anything either. Make it make sense. All right, next up, the Broncos played the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs won 16-14. Okay, you might say, hey, the Chiefs are supposed to win this game. They're at home, and they're undefeated, and they're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. I agree. The Broncos were in prime position to win, kicking an extra point-like field goal, and then magically the Chiefs blocked the kick. Make that make sense. How does this team keep getting so lucky to keep winning? Yes, they're good. But also, make this make sense. If you told me that Mahomes would have the numbers he's putting up this year, like a 1-to-1 touchdown interception ratio and like an 85 passer rating, you would say the Chiefs must be struggling. They're undefeated. Mahomes has never been 9-0, I don't think, to start his season. Make that make sense. Somebody make that make sense. It makes no sense. Sorry to keep repeating myself, but it's fucking true. Then next up, we have the Saints beating the Falcons. Okay, 20-17. The Saints were dead in the water. They won their first 2 games looking like they were the best team in the NFL. And then what did they do next? They lost 7 in a row, including to the Panthers last week. The Falcons were riding in hot, 6-3. And they drop an egg. That doesn't make sense. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 2 touchdowns. Mr. Butterfingers himself. And the Saints win the game. 20-17. Insanity. Lunacy. Can't explain it. Then next up, we got the 49ers and Bucks. 49ers won 23-20. Christian McCaffrey's back. Brock Purdy threw for over 350 yards. You might go, wait a minute, what are you complaining about now? How come they only won by 3? That's the 49ers at full strength. This is the 49ers that should be kicking ass. How are they only 5-4 in the season? How are the Bucks are 4-6? They should be better than that too. Like, what is going on? Okay, next up. The Steelers beat Washington 28-27. Okay, again, Washington went from, last place in the division last year? They're 7-3 now this year. They're good. Make that make sense. I know Jake Daniels is pretty good. Maybe you can make it sense out of that. How about Russell Wilson? Left for dead. Left for total dead with the Broncos. Even though his numbers weren't that bad in the second year. Left for dead. But the Steelers pick him up. They start 4-2 at Justin Fields. And they go, you know what? Russell Wilson, you get in there. And he's undefeated and looking amazing since he stepped in. What is going on? How does that make sense? Someone explain to me in the comments. Russell Wilson, where's this guy been? Where was this guy in Denver? And now the Steelers are 7-2 and leading the AFC North. Okay. Finally, we got something I can wrap my fingers around about what just makes sense right now with all this vertigo NFL bullshit happening. The Chargers beat the Titans 27-17. But there's one thing that sucks the Titans did. They let DeAndre Hopkins go to the Chiefs. Thanks for that, assholes. Oh, next up, Philadelphia Eagles beat Dallas 34-6. Why is Cooper Rush starting? Dak is out for the year, supposedly. You got to see what you have in Trey Lance. Why do you not put him in the game sooner? Why do you not have him start? And the Cowboys used to have a 16-game home winning streak. And this year, I shit you not, this year, their 5 home games, they have been outscored 201-91. They've been outscored 110 points at home. That's an average of 22 points a game at home. Get them the fuck off my television. Guess what? They get to play Monday Night Football. Is that game in Dallas? If it is, the Texans will probably beat them by 30. So what doesn't make sense here is, why is Trey Lance not starting? Why do the Cowboys suck so bad? Why do they got to be in my fucking TV? Make that make sense. Especially you, Fox. CBS always showing them. ABC. NBC. I see the Cowboys more than I see any of these fucking teams. And I don't live in Texas. Alright. Next up. Tell me how this makes sense to you. The Arizona Cardinals are first in the NFC West. They just beat the Jets 31-6. Yeah, I predicted the Jets would suck. But I'm also a Jets hater. Even I, deep down, didn't think they'd suck this bad. Even I, deep down, didn't think Rodgers would be this horrible and that the defense would be this bad. It's like a wet dream for a Patriots fan right now to see what the Jets are going through and laugh at them. But you gotta make this make sense. It makes no sense. I gotta shake you. Shake you out of this trance. Am I in some kind of fucking fever dream? And that brings us to Sunday Night Football. My God. This is how crazy this season is. This is how crazy this week was. The Houston Texans are the first team to be up by more than 15 and to get more than five interceptions or more on their opponent and lose! And they did it at home against the Detroit Lions. Make that make sense. How could you win a fucking game with 5 interceptions? How? Especially against CJ Stroud and the Texans. How does Jake Bates. How does Jake Bates make a field goal, barely kiss the right upright to send it to overtime, and then he makes another 50-plus yard field goal, barely kisses the left upright? What are the fucking odds of that? And the Lions are now 8-1. Nonsense. And then, to cap off the week, we have the Dolphins visiting the Rams. The Dolphins won 23-15. And, both teams are getting healthy. Both teams are trying to fight for playoff spots. Tua took a shot to the head and got up. Make that make sense. Guys, sorry to repeat myself so much, but this week is just full of stuff that logically does not compute. And so if any of you guys have reasons in the comments for what's going on, are we living in reality? Is this simulated? Is this scripted? Am I crazy? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. That was NFL Recap Week 10. Roll the thing. We're out.